Okay, so in this example, we are going to see the same components, picker view and table view controller, but only thing it's slightly going to be, I mean, it's not, I'm going to say complex, but there is a way where you can introduce more section and components. So a picker view, typically a date picker, there is a date picker built in picker view available that you will produce date components. Uh, but if you have a multiple components in a picker view, that also you can create. Of course, the view is depending on the data source what you supply. In previous example, I remember we were using NS array or mutable array, either coming from web service or locally created or from the core data. We had a single section of picker view or table view. If you have an object or if you have a property which is having multiple sections, typically, like, uh, that's what the same scenario probably I can tell. For a hotel, the list of food items available, maybe it is categorized into various sections: vegetarian, non-vegetarian, desserts. Each section may have a list of items. So it is still a list, but with the various sections added. So that can be put into a picker view. Of course, picker view and table view has a similar data source and delegates. Only thing where it appears. Usually, a picker is set as a input view for a text input or text field, or it could be a standalone as well from a IB outlet. Or a table view controller can be a grouped one and single selection, multi selection with the multiple sections added. So these example we are going to see. Uh, of course, and I'll create a data type accordingly maybe. So I'm just going to create a simple example. Back to square one. This time objective C. So because the same example I'm going to cover both the things. So let me see. So we end up getting the project in objective C. Let me make the font slightly bigger. Okay, as we know, the initial view controller is ready and it's been given uh, as the corresponding class responsible for this view controller, this one. So this is what we have already know. And let me embed this into a navigation controller, even though at this point it may not be required because I'm just going to create a simple example, but I would prefer to have it so that subsequent view controllers I can go ahead and add if at all required. So we have a view controller over here. So I'm going to bring a text field. So my intention is to bring the picker view as the user tap on this text field. So it's going to be an input view and accessory view. If at all required, we will add it, the OK button or not. So when the user tap on this, the picker is going to appear. So let me make the constraints. Of course, I'm going to reserve the height. I'm going to uncheck this and either top layout or view or whatever maybe. I prefer view. Let it be top. Okay, so this one, left, right you can give, or you can keep it into center, whatever way. So the first constraint is missing. I'm just going to keep it to center horizontally into the container. Still, that is missing. Okay, everything done. So constraints added. Let's add the picker view. Before that, let me initialize everything. Be header. So my text field is something. kept it. So now this particular job done. Now we have to programmatically add the UI picker. Since I'm going to add it as a input view for that text field, I'm not going to use IB outlet elements. So I'm going to have a UIPickerView. Okay. PickerView require delegates and data source, which is a protocol actually. So UI data source, PickerView data source, and UI PickerView delegate. So these two are required in order to handle the callbacks of your PickerView as well as loading the data to your picker. So these two protocols have to be implemented, and the data which is required to populate the PickerView. There are various ways, because I am thinking let the PickerView have three different sections. Maybe like name, roll number, or subject. We'll keep three different sections, or let the user pick it and make a single user entry. That is one way. For that, you may have three different arrays to create three different sections in a picker view, or you may use one NS dictionary. In turn, each object or attribute contains a different array. Whatever way you think of. All I need are three or more arrays, because how many numbers of sections are there, that many arrays needed. So any kind of data will work where you could create instance of arrays. It could be coming from web service, JSON object you may have in such a data representation, or in this case I prefer to have in a dictionary, hard-coded dictionary for testing purpose. So okay, so let's synthesize them. My picker view, my text view, my picker dictionary. I just kept it as a NS dictionary. If you are modifying in code, make sure it is NS mutable dictionary, so which will get option to be modified. In this case, it is already complaining me about certain functions. Yes, so we have to implement the protocol functions whatever being mentioned over here. So let me identify what are all there. Even though if you have your code open in the previous example, you can use it. I prefer this way always. Okay, these two methods looks like recommended format, adding a pragma mark so that the code can be organized in such a way. So UI picker view functions. First thing, it requires number of components. Yes, I'm planning to have three distinct components. So return three sections or three components or three compartments I would like to have. Number of rows in each component. That's going to be a little tricky at this point. So just time being, I'll keep return 1. I'll come back, because depending on my data, I have to have them implemented. So this is for data source functions, and I need to implement certain protocol functions which is specific to the delegate, UIPickerView delegate. So that also I'll have it implemented. Yeah, it comes here. This one. Let me have that. Another pragma mark. I would recommend add these pragma marks so that your senior developers or anybody who is undergoing a kind of like standards, or maybe he is checking, verifying how your code is optimized, it will be always helpful for them to come to a conclusion, okay, how professional you are. So that's the reason we always give a preference for maintaining the code. Okay, this one, what is the title you would like to display? I'll come back to that again. Okay, another method is there. Remember, at the rate required, make sure these function has to be compulsorily implemented. There may be optional methods. See, if you see that optional, these functions may or may not be implemented even though they are part of the delegate or protocol. You can make it optional. So in this case, that's the reason it did not complain me even though if I don't have that functions. But it is needed for one reason. This one also needed. So to handle the callback of the components or the items being selected over here, let me implement that as well. Okay, it's a void one. So okay, so these are all the protocol functions, and we have implemented them. So in our initial plan was to have a 3 different section. Before that, I'll have to initialize a couple of things. I need to have my data ready, what I'm trying to load into my PickerView. We already have a dictionary here. Let me create a data type. It's a hard-coded data. I mean, that's the reason I'm not using any mutable dictionary. So let us create name. It's a key. Inside an array going to be there. Okay, it's a dictionary having attribute a name. I mean that what do you say, the key is name, the value whatever it's going to hold is an array. Okay, let me slightly make it a bit organized. Okay. Another attribute is going to be subject, which is going to have another set of array. Not necessary all these things should maintain the same length, because it's a combination what we are going to choose from a 3 different section. Could be anything, at least one is more than enough. So pass fail also will keep it. So another key result. Okay. If you see this dictionary, it has 3 different sections, and each section, 3 different section mean 3 different attribute: name, subject, and result. And subsequent value of those attributes are arrays. So a name, there are multiple names present. Subject, multiple subjects present. And result, there are multiple options of a result is possible. So this is a slightly a kind of a complex data. We can display that into our PickerView. Decide about that a little later. Before that, let's have the PickerView initialized. My PickerView, since it is not from what do you call IB outlet or interface builder, we have to initialize. Okay, initialized. You have to set the delegates pointing towards set pick data source, set to self. You can very well attempt to write the same in a Swift. It's not something so difficult. It will be very easy and more interesting as well. Okay, picker view and delegate data source being added, and I'm going to point it to input field. I mean text field. The input view I'm attaching the picker, so that whenever the user taps on it, the picker appears. So initialization been done, but yet to attach the data source and the delegate methods. So let me first. Okay, we have decided it's going to be 3 distinct components. Yes, this is fine, but here it is expecting an integer, what I call number of rows of your picker for individual sections or individual components. Time being I have given 1, but in fact I need to verify them. So if there is a component, if it is for a first component, make sure it is 0. Index always starts with 0. For third one is going to be, so this particular return is unreachable. We don't need to worry about it. In fact, we don't even. Okay, let me first have return statement. Okay, we need to measure the length of array in each sections. First one is for name. Okay. My dictionary object for the key name. Am I right? Name. Okay, name. And I'm going to need its. Of course, we will get a array at this point. I'm just going to need the count of it. So like that, each individual section, the length of the array we have to specify. So in this case, going to be different name, subject, and result. So 3 different components, 0, 1, or you else if you put make sure it is 2. So 3 different components, 3 different length of an array we have to specify, so that it picks those items and display as required. This return is unreachable because else condition anyway, when any condition does not meet, anyway it is going to be executed. So we don't need to worry about this return. Probably we don't even write it. Okay, name subject result looks fine. Okay, what is the title you'd like to display? Okay, here also we have component. So the same thing we need. I'm just going to copy paste. But object for a key is going to be little. You'll get the array object at index. There is a row available. Yeah. So here you will get an array. In that which row, say index, when you pass, you will get the title for the component 0. So like that, I need to put everything with respect to other components. Okay, so individual title being taken. Okay, this is where you are going to handle the selection. I'll come back to it. Before that, we'll have to make sure everything appears perfect. Then we'll decide about it. This also, to dismiss it, I always prefer this one. We'll come back here to handle what we need to display. Before that, we have to make sure our picker view appears properly or not. Initialized data source has been set, delegate has been set, and input view has been added. There is no accessory view. If you want, you can add it. OK button, whatever it is. So let me run it later. Hopefully it doesn't break anything. Okay. You see that the three different sections of picker is appearing here. I can choose any combination to create a user. So I can handle the callback to display here. So let me, but anyway, so it's a multiple section picker view. Typically, multi-section pickers or multi-component pickers section we call it for table view, because we call multi-section table view multiple component picker view. So picker view, typically we use it for multiple section, especially on date picker. Date picker, which is already available as a component that you can use it. So this is a custom component with a multiple section. So you can create any kind of a section, as many a section possible. But ideally 3 is more than enough, because our view cannot display. If we see that chemistry itself does not appear properly. So 3 is maximum depending on the form factor of iOS devices. Typically phones are smaller. So 3 section or 3 components is more than fine if you still want to make a multi-section picker view. Okay, we have made it. Let us display them into a text view. My text field. Now I need to concatenate everything. Three components we have, right? So I need to know which one has been selected. Selected row in a component. The first component 0. I need to have all the selected components, because I have 3 different components, so I'm just going to need all the ones selected. Sorry. Okay, have them. Now I can display with the format in a string. Had it been Swift, we could have easily concatenated, but it is slightly a different one. So I'd like to display dictionary, my picker dictionary. Need to retrieve it, slightly complex though. Object for a key, name, object. Okay, I'll do one thing. Everything writing in single line slightly confusing. I'll do one thing. I'll make everything as a separate strings. A string. UIPickerView object. Sorry, UIPicker dictionary. Object for a key. selected index 1. Okay. So we have three distinct strings, so let's display them. Name, subject, result. First, pick which one, what are all the components being selected in the picker view. I mean indexes of the selected items. So in the component 0, which one has been selected, in the component 1, which one has been selected, and in component 2, which has been selected. The index is being taken, and from the dictionary I am searching for that specific index of the specific key, and I retrieve everything, and then I am going to display them into, actually it's not needed. Okay, let's see how it comes. I think oh, 1 second. See that the combination changes. So you can pick the relevant data and display wherever you want. So like that you can introduce multiple components for your picker to display your desired content. So this is, I really don't see a scenario where you will use this kind of pickers, but I'm trying to say this is also possible. A picker can have a multiple components or separate components, and you can create your own string based on any combination, whatever you prefer. So this one on advanced picker view. Next one I want to make the same in what you call table view. Let's go to storyboard, bring one table view controller. So the table view can also have a multiple, here we call it sections. Instead of components we call it section. So this table view is going to have a multiple section, so that I'm trying to build over here. So we have to take the user here, so I need a button. So when the user click on it, we'll come here. Okay, here the moment you bring your table view controller, you will be asked to give a prototype cell an identifier. Without that, the cell cannot be identified while it during the runtime. So give any name for this cell. So it's been given, everything looking fine. We need a class to handle that. So new, say my table view controller. Once you create, make sure you tell the corresponding. It's done. So my table view controller already has the required delegates and data source adder. That's the reason we don't have had anything, because through the storyboard it has been done. To verify that, you can see that delegate data source have been connected, so we don't need to have a separate protocol thing added over here. because it is that my storyboard does the work. So all I need a property to load a different section in my table view. So retain, I'll keep same way. Okay, we'll keep the same way. So ns dictionary. So same data we'll use it. Why we waste time? Say hotel. I remember in MFRP and similar requirement came, so that's why I'm just adding that. Synthesize hotel. So this one we are going to create. Okay, let me clear the warning and other stuff here first. Number of section in your table view. This time we are going to have 3 sections. Same thing, and of course a lot of if and else we need to add, but we'll come back to it. Before that, we'll finalize what is the data we are trying to display. So pardon me, I really know some South Indian food is alone. I'm seriously running out of my food. So idli, vada, pongal, puri. Okay, veg section is complete. Okay. So what we'll add. Correct to give bit vegetarian, guys. Sorry, pardon me. I really don't remember most of the non-veg items. Trying chicken, mutton, fish. Okay, I'm out of this non-veg section now. We'll have other section. Beverages. Sorry. Coke, what's the spelling? Coca-Cola, right? What else? Okay. Okay, at least we created some sort of hotel menu. It has been into 3 different sections: veg, non-veg, and beverages. So 3 different sections, we are going to display them into a table. So table view is going to have a 3 distinct sections. Okay, looks fine. Initialized. Let us, here. Number of rows in each section. First thing we should have a if block. Section is there. Same thing we are going to do. Return. I need to get into the specific section and measure the length of a array. First one is wedge. So first, the hotel menu object for a key wedge. I'm going to need one more count. Make sure you write it. Should not be any typos. Finally, oh my god. What else we added? Beverages. So 3 different sections we have, and each section has differential length of the content. So first section is going to display the vegetarian foods, and second section is going to display the non-vegetarian, and the third section is going to display the beverages. Okay, this has been added, and this is an important one. We have to have this one enabled. Identify, create your cell. Of course, we have already given name my cell. Fine. Now we have to return accordingly. Display the content in each cell. First point, we have to identify which section it is. There is a section in the argument. No, instead we have index path. So let me create a section. Being ns integer, I don't need to point anything. Remember, ns integer itself a number. So there is no star. Okay. From the index path, identify the section. Then you put section equal to 0. Like that we are going to proceed. Okay, 0, 1, and all the rest have been written. Okay. NS array, we'll build an array first from that. Hotel menu object for a key. Okay, like that I have individual sections wrapped up. That's the name I gave. Okay, the cell We go back to the storyboard. I haven't dragged any label here. Actually, prototype cells by default contains a label built in. That also you can put into use. I haven't used it so far, but you can drag a label here and display and define a tag number and initialize it. Otherwise, if you don't want to do anything, you can use a built-in cell, built-in table. So we already have a cell. Cell which was dequeued from the identifier, that is called text label and text. This is the built-in label. If you do not drag any label, you can use it. If you are putting any other components, you cannot make use of this. So this text label, I am trying to point some value. So from the food object for an index, we have an index path. From that I can pick the row. I think I can keep this one here. At any point it is going to have food initialized, so from there I can pick it up. Okay, it's fine. So in my understanding, it's been wrapped up. If we are giving an editable option, you can have them and select this or something. I'm not pretty interested at this point. Sections with the count, 3 different sections, everything been given here. Looks fine. Let me try how it looks like. Okay, everything appearing, but it doesn't look like as if there is multiple sections. It is because of the reason you should have mentioned in your storyboard table view. This is selection. Yeah, if you make it grouped, background bounds. Okay, I just made it as a group. This should be somewhere multi-section or selection. Yeah, here. Now it is appearing as a different group. So this is the very first section. This is the second section. This is the third section. Or there is one more way. If you make it group, you will end up getting like this. In fact, it will be looking good only. For example, if I make it into a larger one, looking quite nice still. Otherwise, there is one more way. Let me try. In fact, I forgot it. UITableView cell, UITableView. I would like to see the document. There is one delegate available which will add a header for each section. Something like header, footer. Let me get from my animated scroll position. I should have it written. Title for header section. Okay, I'll write it. You can attach another delegate or protocol function title for header in section. You can give a title for each section. So I'm going to have the same You can attach a title for each section. That will be looking more meaningful. Okay, let's see how it appears. You see that the title appears for each section. So which subsection the user comes to know. Otherwise, let us go back. That will also even looking much better. The previous design, which I changed the style, I hope. Table view. Yeah, I made it as a group. Now I am again going back to the plain section, plain style. We see that the header has been added between, and that not only to that, it sticks as you move. If you are into the non-wedge section, the wedge disappears. So you can scroll nicely. Let me make it smaller. Section just sticks on the top. Let me add a couple of items, then it will be looking much more nicer. You could have seen such a list view. As you scroll up, the header sticks on the top, the inner components appear. So like that, you can add a header for your table view sections, and you can group them however way you want. And remember, this is where I would like to play much. So for example, in the table view in the storyboard, there are a couple of options. There is a single selection, multiple selection. So you can give a multiple choice list view or table view, where the user can select multiple cells, and also separator, insert, selection. There are various other, you can skin it off. In the cell selection, I would like to make it as a can select multiple items and click OK. Take all the selected item to the second screen, display consolidated values. Like that you can make. Remember, one such a requirement came in your MFRP, I remember. So that's the reason I thought of taking this example. You can even do a lot of styling, focus style. Right detail. Some sort of thing. A lot of customization, you can go ahead and do it. I want you to play around with this section quite often. See, various other options you can add it. You can put a small icon over here or arrow over there and take the user to the next screen. And various things you can do. Of course, you have all the freedom to customize this cell and with the images and various other addition you can work on. So this is the multi-section table view, and this is multi-component picker view. So these are all slightly advanced components, and depending on your requirement, you may be using such a component. You can even add a kind of a cell identifiers, like alphabets here, A, B, C, D, and the right extreme corners. You can display them. We call them some sort of indexes. So that also you can add. Various additions available. Everything is built in fact. So I want you to complete this example today itself. Make sure you are aware of the advanced sections or advanced components of such a thing. If you could complete it, I would want you to create the same in Swift. Try to attempt it. It's pretty simple. So I really don't have much difficulty. You know how to have the protocols implemented, how to have them integrated. Thanks to Swift, it is a single file. We don't have header and all the confusions we done. Slightly the methods maybe naming convention may be slightly different, but otherwise it is pretty simple. Okay, I'll put the source code. You can start your exercise.